Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline. What's up, Jay Spence the King?
What is going on, Joe, the voice, the buttery smooth voice Miller?
Just sitting here in my Buffalo Bills, Buffalo versus Everybody circa 2016 t-shirt, in case anybody's wondering what I'm wearing, and you see the Buffalo Bills logo on it. But no, man, just sitting here, just enjoying the evening. Finished a fantasy draft. A lot of Buffalo Bills news. Had a busy day at work, which you did too. We talked a little bit before the show. You had a busy day at work, but no, how's all the Bill stuff catching you?
Good. We were backstage just then, and we were looking at the comments already, and I kind of want to know what EB is talking about. Can't wait to hear what Jay Spence says about the Edmonds news. So if you can throw in the comments here what you're talking about, I would love to address whatever it is that we're referring to, but Joe and I both looked and we can't find anything.
We saw it and delayed the show 25 seconds as we checked Google.
Like, what is going on?
Did Edmonds get traded?
I saw like a fake tweet from somebody that said he was being traded, but it was like, it was no, so I don't know. But go ahead, my bad.
Gotcha. No worries at all. That's if there's Edmonds news, we want to talk about it, right? So welcome everybody into the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Multicast Network. My name is Joe Miller. I am the co-host of the Hump Day Hotline. I'm joined by my other co-host, the very attractive and good-looking Jay Spence the King from the Code of Conduct podcast. Jay Spence the King, it's good to see you tonight. Everybody, if you are following along on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, make sure you jump on that like button, hump the like button. Just so we can get our metrics up. If you have not yet subscribed to the Buffalo Rumblings YouTube, please do so. We would love to have you. The chat room is filling up this evening already. Got a whole bunch of people in here. Richard Rush, the usuals. EB is in here. What's up, Robbie? Robbie's up in the chat. It's good to see you, buddy. But there's a lot going on. And what is going on seems to be... Is this my brother? I think this is my brother. What's up, little brother? This is my little brother, Andrew. Says the Hump Day Hotline is the best part of the week. Yeah. What seems to be up, and Brian Bowers is in the room, Vlad's in the room, and Darren, I can't pronounce your last name, Darren. I'll just say Darren's in the room. Welcome. What seems to be up is injuries. And yeah. Wazowitz? Wazowitz?
We can probably figure that out. Can you spell it out like I'm in fifth grade? I mean, like
phonetically.
I'm 5 years old. Yeah, just sound it out for me, Darren. When you get in the
phonetically. And then Daniel Gowers, what's up, Daniel? Good to see you. But injuries seems to be what's up. To which I titled this show tonight, or we titled this show, it's all about the depth, and it very much is that for the Buffalo Bills. Before we get started, I'm going to read this to you, and I don't know if you saw this or not, but these were the players that were not practicing today per Mike Catalana. Bills not practicing today. Antonio Williams with a neck injury. Isaiah McKenzie with a shoulder injury. Marquez Stevenson with a foot. Tommy Sweeney with a foot. Spencer Brown with a knee. T. Hester, I don't know who T. Hester is, with a back. Harrison Phillips with a knee. Dane Jackson with a stinger. Jaquan Johnson with a knee. Taron Johnson with a hand. Levi Wallace with a hip. Reed Ferguson with a back. And then 4 players on the COVID list, which is incredible. Like, that list is incredible. Are you surprised? Did you see that the Bills picked up Sims? They signed Sims today. Are you surprised so they picked up, with Cole being put on the sidelines and Gabe Davis being put on the sidelines, obviously Stevenson being tweaked, and then Isaiah McKenzie being tweaked, and we have not yet heard that I know of what's going on with McKenzie. They picked up the Sims guy who's a punt returner, kick returner, like return specialist. I'm wondering why they cut Lenore, right? Why didn't they just bring him back?
I mean, I feel like Sims is better. I think
that might be the reason.
Well, Sims, I mean, I'm shocked that he was a free agent at the moment. I don't think that he's not as good as Isaiah McKenzie.
Sure.
He's not as good, but the guy is, he has snaps in this league at a high level.
Right.
He's done a lot of things. He's developed into a pretty good wide receiver. He has some good routes that he has on film. Obviously, as a punt kick returner, he's also good too. Okay, my man Banks said that he was released 2 days ago. Thanks for that. So I was shocked that he was even a free agent. So yeah, no, I think it's a good pickup. Even I think, I'm sure because of the injuries, it made Brandon Beane take a look. But the thing is, I also feel like Brandon Beane is the kind of guy that he keeps his eye open to, whatever talent is out there. So if he saw somebody out there during the season and somebody who was worth it was there, it's like, okay, bring this guy in. Let's make this happen. So I'm not surprised. It is a little concerning though, because we don't know exactly what's happening with Isaiah McKenzie. So, we see his arm in a wrap or a sling, whatever, all day. So it's like, is it just precautionary and it's like, hey, rest that thing and stay off of it for a couple of days or a week or so? Or is it like, hey, this is a messed up collarbone or something like that? Like, what is it that we're dealing with when it comes to Isaiah McKenzie?
Well, let's start there. So the Isaiah McKenzie shoulder injury, how bad is it? And what does it mean for the team and its depth chart, which is scrolling at the bottom? And obviously everybody can chime in with their comments. And if you have a question, we are Super Chat Live. So feel free to Super Chat us if you need to. But I can't remember who it was. I believe it was Sal Capaccio was talking about, he described what had happened, and McKenzie went over the middle. And basically when they're, yep, that guy. When currently what they're doing in practice is they do what they call thudding. It's where you just basically run into each other, but nobody tackles anybody to the ground. And he said that as Isaiah was coming across the middle, he caught the ball. It was very close quarters. He said Poyer was trying to let up. It was clear that Poyer was not like looking to slam him, and Isaiah just turned funny. When he hit him, it was like hitting a brick wall, and he immediately went to the ground, which is where he stayed. So the question is what is it? How bad is it? Have you ever separated a shoulder? Because I've partially separated my right shoulder twice. It's not fun.
It is not. And like, if that's the thing, I know those guys get shots. I don't see them coming back by opener.
So my recollection in college of separating my shoulder twice, my right shoulder partially separating it, was basically never being able to sleep. Because the thing that you don't realize about your shoulder is you can't do anything without your shoulder moving. And every time your shoulder moves, it freaking hurts ridiculously. So even laying on your back breathing, your shoulder moves. Mm-hmm. Like you can see my shoulders moving as I'm breathing in and out. Like you can't move your left arm without your right arm, your right shoulder moving. And it's freaking painful. It's not fun. So if that's what it is, they'll probably, like you said, they'll probably shoot him up. And then the question is how long is it going to take for him to recover? Marquez Stevenson is obviously, he's got that foot injury. He was at practice doing light work today, but obviously, or clearly this opens the door, and I'm going somewhere with this, that opens the door on this roster, right? Because because the temporary IR, the 3 or 4 game IR thing is still like intact. But this opens the door for Isaiah Hodgins to potentially make this roster, which is going to put Bruce into a situation where he has to wear your Cam jersey, which is funny because nobody will ever see it. But so will he wear it? That's the question. Funny. Will he actually wear it?
We don't believe you, Bruce. We don't. Right. We don't believe you.
We need a picture with your face blurred out with you wearing the Cam jersey.
Send a picture like this, Bruce. But the thing is, like I said, so for me, what this spells out to me, and I could be wrong. Obviously, I've given a ton of bad takes this summer, but one of the things that it makes me look at, if this is the case, it also makes me feel like the team isn't as confident in Stevenson being the guy that can be a backup in the punt and kick return roles for Isaiah McKenzie. It also makes me feel like to me, it's not impossible. If he was. Now, it also could be that they need a body for Friday.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. It's Saturday. Do they not trust Tanner Gentry?
Right. Because could be that. It could be that. But the way I'm looking at this is like, well, wait, is the development of Stevenson already to the point where we can trust him in that role? Or is it like, no, maybe not. Let's bring in somebody else to handle these. And then that lets me know Powell's not going to make it. That lets me know, like the guys who are saying like, well, maybe he could that lets me know they're not there. Matt Breida is not in contention for this role. Powell, whoever else we might have kind of thrown out there and talked about. I think it's Isaiah McKenzie's. And if he's injured, then that means, that's why we brought in Sims.
Yeah. Richard Rush says McKenzie had an X-ray and an MRI and they're waiting on the results. So it could just be a sprain. This is where it gets weird because you and I go get an MRI, right? And it takes whatever, a week or 2 weeks as they filter through all the information and get through all the other patients and yada, yada, yada. And then you finally call or the nurse calls you and kind of gives you the information. That's not how it is with the NFL. They go get an MRI and literally they get a phone call 10 minutes later because the doctor's looking at it because they get priority, right? So you got to wonder why they're not disclosing. And Brandon Beane, said that he wasn't necessarily sure what was up or how bad it was. They don't have any information yet. It's just weird that they're keeping it this close to the vest, in my opinion. So I saw on Twitter somebody that's a nobody, legitimate nobody, and I don't mean that in a derogatory fashion. Just not somebody that, like, when you saw their handle, you'd be like, that guy knows something. Like, this dude was like, who are you? And he said that he's hearing a rumor that it's an 8-week injury, is what Isaiah McKenzie has.
Well, I don't know who the individual you're talking about, but that, again, I'm not an insider, so I don't try to break news and stuff like that.
Right,
I have
right.
some friends now because of this podcast and being here for a year now. I have some friends that won Bills Drive. I'm hearing that they're fearful that it's like a 6 to 8 week thing. So that might actually be accurate, but I would never say that because I don't want to be like, oh, Spence got. I don't.
You just said it.
Well, no, but I gave my disclaimer that that's not what I'm doing. But what I'm hearing is that it's a fear of a 6 to 8 week injury. But I never so this is what I'm saying. This is not breaking news. Spence is not an insider. I don't know. But that's something that I did hear as well. So I don't know if the nobody guy heard it from the same type of people.
Right. I mean, he very well could be related to somebody that's, I don't know, a trainer or somebody that's like there. But it's just going to be interesting to see. So there's a good chance that they saw Sims cut and they felt like, hey, this is a situation or an opportunity for us to get better. Right. Mm-hmm. At the punt returner, kick returner position. The Bills, by and large, we've seen them keep Andre Roberts, and they like to have one guy do both. They've never really been, at least this regime, a kick return specialist and a punt return specialist. They like having one dude, which again makes us all wonder why they did not #re-sign Andre Roberts, but they didn't. And now they're in this situation and they've got to basically work through it. So,
and it still just grinds my gears that he signed the contract that he did. Like,
yep.
Come on, man. And I actually literally had to mute his name because there's still a bunch of Bills fans who don't appreciate him. Like there's still, and we don't have to go down that conversation. This is about the Bills and he's on the Texans, but it's just like so many that I see on a daily basis before I muted his name.
Right.
Like it's insane.
So we have not had the opportunity to chat since Saturday's football game. Literally, you and I have not spoken on the phone or anything outside of a couple texts since Saturday. Do you think Marquez Stevenson, I said last week that if Marquez Stevenson continues to be good as a wide receiver and show what he can do as a returner, that the Bills he's going to put himself in a situation where the Bills are going to have a hard time cutting him. Then obviously this past game, he returns a punt for a touchdown, which he never returned a punt in college. Mm-hmm. Where is he at this point? I mean, if he's healthy in a week and a half, is he a person that the Buffalo Bills can afford to cut?
In normal conversations, like in years past when we're having this conversation, no.
Right.
But the thing is, the team is just too deep. You literally only have 53 spots.
But where they're not deep is returner. They've got McKenzie on a 1-year deal. He's now injured. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I'm at on that. There's no way he clears waivers, right?
I don't believe he clears waivers. I don't think that happens. And with that being the case, if he doesn't clear waivers, like I get, like, because the other day I'm trying to remember what show we were watching, or maybe we were on one together. I don't know, but somebody was like, "You better get used to like wasting a 5th round pick." The thing is, it's gonna be to that point. Like when you're bringing back 21 out of 22 starters, and you're bringing back probably 85% of the team out elsewhere, like those guys are making a roster for the most part.
Right.
And then when you got guys like Starr opting back in, that's a roster spot that last year he didn't fill. So again, that's another person being pushed out. You have things like that where you have a loaded team. For the Madden players, we all play Madden, and then it's like you stack your team up, and it's like, oh, I don't want to cut him though. Look, you got to cut him. We have 53 spots, and on game day, what is it, 46?
48. I think it's
48 now because of COVID.
Yep.
So things. Look, when that happens, you're gonna have to let people go. And as much as because people are like, oh, they drafted him. You're not gonna get rid of dude. You're not getting rid of Stephon Diggs. You're not getting rid of Cole Beasley. Like when you go through that wide receiver room. So that's the case. You can't afford to cut Stevenson. So can we cut Gabriel Davis? Can we cut Isaiah Hodgins? They also were drafted by the Bills.
Right.
So that's the perspective you got to have. And it's like, okay, is it worth missing out on the 7th round draft pick because we have the team that's already kind of there, or do you want to keep him for the future? It's just going to be tough, man. And at this point, I trust Brandon Beane enough to say, you know what, find me a punt returner next year.
I guess the question is where do you fall on the Logan Thomas thing?
Logan Thomas?
Yeah, being that he was here, he was a quarterback, washed out. The Bills did not try to transition him to a tight end. Now he's in Washington, and had the Bills invested a little bit of time in him, maybe the time they invested in Dawson Knox, he's potentially a game-changing tight end if he's healthy.
Now, that's an interesting topic. For starters, I would have loved to have Logan Thomas here as a tight end. But I think, because I actually read about that last season when he was kind of like having his breakout. I think what ended up happening in Buffalo was that he wasn't open to a position change, or like he was trying to make his presence felt in a certain role, and it was like, look, dude, this just ain't working for you. It's just not happening.
Right.
When he got cut, I feel like it was like, okay, let me humble myself and figure out if I want to stick around in this league. And I feel like from there, we're seeing this guy develop into this amazing tight end. So yeah, it could have played. He was the one that got away, but at the same time, I don't think he wanted to be a tight end on that level. But I could be wrong. I'm seeing comments saying that he transitioned while he was here, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, I see that too. That's not true. Detroit transitioned him as a tight end.
Yeah, I'm seeing that, but I got to figure out where. Keep talking. I'll pull up the article that I was reading, because I was speaking on it the other day because I drafted him in my league.
We very well could be incorrect. Speaking of cuts and speaking of cutting players, and we're gonna dance around this issue a little bit. 5 players were sent home due to close contact with a vaccinated trainer who contracted COVID-19. This was a huge shutdown Twitter thing yesterday. Basically, if you were on Twitter yesterday, you didn't want to be, because everybody was basically just, the vitriol was flaming and flying. And it was funny because like the immediate headline was Cole Beasley was sent home, right? That was the news that came across WGR. Cole Beasley was sent home today for 5 days because he was in close contact with somebody who contracted Twitter. And immediately it was like everybody like, cut Cole Beasley, cut him. And then it turned out that Matt Milano got sent home, Gabe Davis got sent home, Star Latulippe got sent home, and I think Vernon Butler got sent home. And it's like, are we cutting all those guys, or are we just cutting Cole Beasley?
I'm over the whole keep Cole Beasley. Like, I'm just over it. Like, this guy is good.
I have 2 points. The first point is just something I would say, and then the second thing is a conversation. And it's something that we're going to have a conversation about this year. First of all, regardless of vaccination status, and Brandon Beane is awesome. And Brandon Beane, you can tell this guy loves his players, and you can tell that his players love him. When he was interviewed, he said, you know what, it's an individual choice. And these guys make the choices for their own personal reasons, and they're allowed to make those choices because it's not mandated. The NFLPA and the NFL have not come to an agreement to mandate it. So these guys are allowed to make those choices. And if it's personal, then we let them make the choice they want. You can't cut a guy who didn't get vaccinated for being in close contact with a vaccinated trainer when the dude, Cole Beasley, didn't test positive for COVID. That's not a reason to cut a guy. However, the best ability is availability. We all know that. We talk about it a lot. I think the concern I have is this is a situation that could be perpetual. We could find ourselves in a situation where 5, 6, 7 of these guys could find themselves home for 5 days multiple times this season. Because if pick another coach, the wide receiver coach contracts COVID, and he's vaccinated. I think we've heard that the entire coaching staff is vaccinated, and the training staff is vaccinated. So if the wide receiver coach contracts COVID at this point, which, let's be honest, it's likely he could, even vaccinated people are contracting COVID, Cole Beasley and Gabe Davis are going home again, right? For 5 days. And I think that's where it gets a little bit sticky for me. And I don't know how you navigate that as a front office. Like, I don't know. I mean, do they lock down their coaching staff and their trainers? Hey, guess what? You're not going out to eat. You're not going to movies. You're not going to the Erie County Fair. You're not doing anything at this point. Like, you are pick the word. I mean, you are the link to all this.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm trying to be careful with this topic. So I'm not going to give you too much on this one, but I'm not
trying to stick you or hang you either. I'm just,
no, I know you aren't. You aren't, but I just know how this thing goes. I say one thing and then I wake up in the morning and I'm dead on Twitter. I just don't have time for it, man.
I just think it's a real concern or a real consideration that we have to think about. And clearly, I think what's also needs to be talked about or said is we are a week and a half, 2 weeks away from, or whatever it is, from the regular season starting, and there still are no protocols. The NFL has 0 protocols for COVID for the 2021 season. They end after the last preseason game. So that's another thing that everybody needs to consider when we're talking about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen and what could possibly happen, is there still are no protocols. I just think for me, the 5-day thing makes sense. When I look at it blankly, if somebody's in close contact, an unvaccinated player is in close contact with with somebody who contracts COVID, whether vaccinated or not, that 5-day period is the incubation period. And that's what they're trying to ward off. And I totally get that. And that makes 1,000% of sense. The problem I have is that 5-day incubation period is also true for vaccinated players. The amount of vaccinated people that are getting COVID after a 5-day incubation period, I just don't know what they're going to do. Like, to me, it's not that black and white. Like, they're going to have to figure out some way to navigate this situation better. So if a trainer gets COVID, I don't even know. It's a weird, hairy, and scary situation when you consider we don't know necessarily who's vaccinated and who's not. And I don't know that it matters if they're vaccinated or not. Right?
I think it matters, but again, I don't want to talk.
No, what I meant in the end game, that they could still get COVID and they could end up like Deion Dawkins and end up in the hospital is my point. Like, I don't know that it matters if they're vaccinated or not. Deion Dawkins could have gone and seen that trainer, contracted COVID from him as a vaccinated player, and ended up in the hospital. I guess that's what I'm saying.
True, but the statistics strongly show that vaccinated people contracted far less, and
correct.
The symptoms are far less dangerous.
That's the whole point.
So I think it absolutely matters. But I don't want to, because I know there's a bunch of people that feel like you shouldn't get they shouldn't get vaccinated or what. So I don't want to try and speak on like that.
I'm not trying to
think it matters. Man.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the end game. I'm worried about the 5-day incubation period. I don't know that it's like you're a vaccinated player or whatever, and you've got a close contact, therefore you're good. And that's kind of what they're doing. And that's the part that scares me, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because I think that incubation period could be potentially the same, not the same, exactly the same 1-to-1, but similar. I don't know. It just makes me nervous. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to say get vaccinated or don't get vaccinated. I'm just saying it makes me nervous. The protocol as it stands right now, which is we only send the vaccinated or the unvaccinated player home for 5 days. Yeah,
I'm sure they'll have something by, obviously it's going to be at the forefront of these conversations.
Oh yeah.
So come week 1 or even before week 1, I would say before this weekend is out, I can almost be sure that we're going to get some type of update on either that they're meeting about the protocols or that they have released a new set of protocols for it. Yeah. So,
John Banks, Dawkins was between vaccinations. He hadn't gotten a second. That's actually not true. He was within 10 days from his second dose. So he had gotten a second dose and he was inside the 10-day window of the dose taking its full effect in his body, is the way that he described it in his press conference. He had both doses. It was just inside that 10-day window after the second dose where it takes full effect in your body is where he was at. And
real quick, I want to kind of rewind real quick too. So the article I was reading about Logan Thomas was on Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
And what I read actually said that it was his work ethic in Buffalo that didn't impress the coaching staff.
Oh.
So he didn't buy in. So I read it, or I was having wrong conversations there, but his work ethic here or in Buffalo wasn't quite up to the standard that apparently it is in Washington now. Like, apparently he's working like a top 10 tight end, and that's how his play is. So we can move forward. I just wanted to.
There's a good chance. I mean, who knows? Maybe being moved on from Buffalo was what ignited or like fanned the flame underneath him to change his work ethic. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, I did not mean to put that up. I meant to jump over here. We were going to start here, but we did not because we jumped into Isaiah McKenzie first. But last week we talked about we have 95 problems and the list ain't one. As we were talking about Tre'Davious White. However, at this point, Stephon Diggs has come out they've announced him as the number 11, the top 11 or whatever, the 11th best player in 2020 in the NFL as per the players' votes. Where does that sit with you? Stephon Diggs being number 11. Number 1 in yards, number 1 in receptions.
I'm okay with it. The way I see it, I know, being a Buffalo fan, Bills fans want our guys to be the best. Like, so it's like, what? He led the league in receiving yards and catches. There's no way he's not the best receiver in the league. Yeah, but we also have to look at the fact that Travis Kelce would have been the leading receiver if he played Week 17. He didn't play.
Right.
We also got to look at, there were other factors that showed other players that could have had the same year. This is not a slight at Diggs. Diggs had an amazing season, but there are other guys who around the league in conversation. Football players notice football players different ways. And a lot of those guys look at Devontae Adams as the best receiver in the league.
Sure.
A lot of those guys look at, there's still going to be guys in the league who probably would rate Tom Brady over Josh Allen after last year. He won the Super Bowl. He had a great year. People would still do that. In Buffalo, no, it's Josh Allen is number one. In Buffalo, Diggs is number one. And that's fair, being a fan. But in reality, it's okay that other teams and players might say, no, Diggs is probably the second or third best in the league at that position. Personally, I have him at 3 as a personal on my list. He's the third best receiver in the league.
Sure. And I don't know where I'd land on all these things because I don't know how players, I don't know how rookies come in on the top 100 list. Or didn't that what happened? Didn't Kyler Murray was on the list last year as a rookie, wasn't he?
Well, Kyler's last year, that was his second year.
Oh, was it his second year? So this is okay. So this is his
year 3 for him.
It's weird for me how far they bounce. I don't know how a player goes from top 20 or 30 to bottom 10 or 15.
Well, in Trey White's case, I think that it had a lot to do with factors that were out of his control, but I think it had a lot to do with just straight numbers because not last season, but the season prior, the defensive line was better. So our secondary played better. Trey White didn't have to do as much as he was trying to do last year. He didn't give up as many receptions and touchdowns.
Right.
So because of that, it's looked at as if he took a step back or if he got exposed and all that stuff. I don't think that he got exposed or took a step back. I think the team defensively wasn't as good, which put other players, it put good players in worse situations. So when that happens, you can be the best player on your roster, but if the defense is bad, you're going to give up stuff because the defense isn't together.
Right.
So I think, you look at the second half of the season, I think when the defense started to play better, we saw Trey White that we saw for the first few years that he was in the league. So I also understand that it's a fluid thing. This happens every year. So who's the best, who's not the best, it goes up and down. I think next year Trey will probably be back in the top 50.
For me, it's like, I agree with you on the Devontae Adams piece. They just view Devontae Adams as the best wide receiver in the league. However, if Aaron Rodgers has an off year, the offensive line is bad or the scheme is bad or whatever happens, football happens, right? Mm-hmm. And Devontae Adams has 3/4 of the stats that he had in 2021, which, if I'm not mistaken, 2021 was a down year from 2020. He had less, I think his numbers were down a little bit or whatever. And all of a sudden he's 70. For me, it's like, how do you go from everybody agreeing that you're the best wide receiver in the NFL to all of a sudden, now we all agree that you're not the best wide receiver? It just doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem like it should be that fluid to me.
Well, it happens every year. I mean, Julio Jones for probably the better part of his entire career. So he's been in the league for I don't know how many years, but
forever.
For the better part of it, it was almost unanimous that everybody said, no, Julio is the best in the league.
Agreed.
Like since Megatron, Julio has been that guy. Now there are people who argue that he's not even like top 5 at the position. Like when he was getting ready to be traded from Atlanta, there were a ton of Bills fans who said, oh no, we don't need Julio. He's not that good. He's washed. He's old now. He's injury prone.
Right.
So again, how does somebody who's played through injuries, who's always played, last year he only didn't play because they weren't in playoff contention. The team shut him down because they didn't make the playoffs. So like, how is it that a guy who got shut down by the team for that is now looked at as injury prone and now looked at as not top 5 and now looked at, it's the same question, but from a different stance. Bills fans didn't want, I wanted him. Please give me Julio and Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley on the same field. Please. So again, it's the same question, but it's from a different perspective now. It's like, okay, nobody's talking about Julio the same way. Now he still made it. I think he was what, top 30. I think he still made the top 30.
Yeah.
But
and he's always injured. He makes the top 50 injured every year. Like,
but that's the thing. He's not always injured. Like he plays hurt, but he doesn't miss games.
He plays hurt, but I would say he's injured as far as I mean, he's not healthy. So he's playing hurt. Yeah. Hurt, injured. I guess take 2 different words, right? Hurt and injured.
I'll take a hurt Julio over 90% of the wide receivers in the league. I
So
will take a hurt Julio.
Stephon Diggs is 11. So you agree with that assessment that he should be 11?
I do. I will put him at 11. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump over to Brian Bowers. Brian Bowers says, I think you're viewing it wrong. It's based on year only. Adams could be the best receiver in the league as a whole, but Diggs had better numbers and could be ranked higher than him. That's the part that escapes me. If you want to talk to me, yes, I agree with you, and I agree with what Spence is saying. But if you want to talk to me and say that Julio Jones is the best wide receiver in the NFL, hands down. DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL, hands down. But then you tell me it goes year to year. Well, nobody had a better year than Stephon Diggs.
That's not true.
Who had a better year?
Receptions. You're only looking at statistically. Like, you're looking at statistics. He also.
How do you judge them otherwise?
What do you mean? Watch the game. Like, if you get more opportunity, yeah, you're gonna have better stats. But if I'm a better player and I don't need the same opportunity, it just doesn't. The
problem with watching the game, and I get what you're saying, is it's viewed through the lens of the eyes, and everybody views it differently. Nick Wright hates Josh Allen, right? So Nick Wright flat out said today that Josh Allen was horrible in his rookie year. You and I would disagree. He wasn't horrible. He just wasn't confident. He had a ridiculously awful offensive line, and his number one wide receiver was
Kelvin Benjamin. I
right.
don't even want to say it that time.
Right. 2020, he said he did better and was okay in 2020. In my eyes, or 2019, in my eyes, he was a serviceable, good quarterback in 2019. He had issues and had overcome some stuff. Then 2020, obviously, he was elite. That's the problem, is like you can't just watch the film because everybody views it differently, in my opinion. And a lot of time it comes down to recency bias. It comes down to who your favorite team is. Nick Wright is a Kansas City Chiefs fan. He's never going to tell you that Josh Allen is better than Pat Mahomes. Ever.
Right. But here's the thing. This list is voted on by players. So,
correct.
So look at this. Look at it from this perspective. So you and I are in the Buffalo podcast community. So if we did like a top list for the podcasters, and you had to rank, we all had to rank every Buffalo podcaster. Every single one of us, we ranked each other and then put out a list.
I'm number one.
Okay. But no, but the thing is, it's gonna, like, the people that's in this community, we all know who the players are. So for instance, I feel like most of us would, like, I'm not gonna say who's 1, 2, and 3, but I mean, like, I feel like Joe Marino, Bruce Nolan are in the top 3. I feel like everybody you talk to would be like, nope, Joe Marino and Bruce Nolan are top whatever.
For sure.
I think that's because that's how we view it. But then if you talk to fans about it, some fans would be like, no, I'm not really into so-and-so because they do this, but I like more of this. And I'm not into so the ranking. So as fans, we look at wide receivers with emotion and passion. Diggs is the best receiver in the league. He led the league, but the players look at technique. The players look at route running. The players look at.
Yes.
I'm not saying Diggs doesn't have that.
Yes,
Diggs is that.
Yes, to all of that. But how does that go from you're number 3 this year and next year you're number 80?
How did he perform that year with all of those things?
If you think his route running changed? Tre'Davious White? You think Tre'Davious White's game changed that much from 19 to 20?
No, I think the system changed. So what happens is, because the system changed, his performance fell off compared to years in past. I don't think, honestly, man. I think you got to look at it from the player's perspective. I think Trey White, again, he's going to have a stand-up year this year. He'll be back. He'll be back in that top 50. It's just, but it's the way the players look at it. We can't look at it from our perspective because we're fans and we're passionate and we love these dudes.
Yeah, gotcha. I agree. So to wrap up this segment, if you will, where is Josh going to land it? Where's Josh? Why do you do this to me?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When is your mom going to show up to the show? Like,
you don't even know how to use her computer, man. I got to teach her when I get to Buffalo. We'll get mom in here. We're gonna get Mama Jan in here. But now I got to teach her how to use her phone or computer. We got to do this.
So where is Josh Allen going to land and why? Oh, you've got a graphic going. You didn't even prep me with that one.
Boom.
When did you do that one?
Well, I actually did this back on May 5th. I tweeted back on May 5th. I said, let's start a fun discussion. Last season's MVP caliber performance by Josh Allen. Where do you predict he falls on this year's top 100 players? I say he pisses everyone off except Mel Kiper Jr. and lands top 10 at number 6. So that was the graphic that I used for that post. And I'm sticking with that. I think that, the year that he had, I don't think people are going to be ready to say he's better than Tom Brady. So I think because of Tom Brady being Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, he'll probably land top 4. I think Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Donald is number 1 or 2, however you want to flip those, that's how it's going to be. And Pat Mahomes will come in, that third player. So I just don't see Josh being top 5 because of that. But that's where he's going to fall. He's 6 for me.
For me, when I watch Josh Allen play and I see what he does on a football field and the command that he has to the field, the growth and the maturation that we saw in 2020, the subtle things. So whether it's the pass that he threw to the back of the end zone in the Titans game, not Tywan Jones, who did he throw that pass to? When he was drifting to his left, backpedaling, and he was scanning the field, and he threw that ball to the back of the end zone. It'll show up in the chat here in the comment section here in a second. To seeing penalties on the field, looking at the referee, waiting for the flag, and then pointing at the referee that there's a flag, and then knowing that it's a free play. Aaron Rodgers type stuff, right? So watching what he does, watching his command of football games, the ability to not do what he wants necessarily, but by and large do what he wants. It was not Stephon Diggs, Chris Jenke. It was somebody else that he hit in the back of the end zone of the Titans game in garbage time. I don't trust, not the players necessarily. I don't trust what I see in whoever's making the list itself. So, for instance, a lot of the projections we've seen is TJ Watt, for instance, is higher than Josh Allen in the top 10. It was Yeldon. Yes, it was TJ Yeldon. Thank you, Brian. It was TJ Yeldon. He hit in the back of the end zone. That play was brilliant. And he's backpedaling to his left, and you see his head darting back and forth as he's looking across the field, like who am I going to throw his football to? And then hits Yeldon in the back of the end zone in a very tight coverage situation between defenders. I just don't trust those that are voting necessarily. I feel when you look at what Josh Allen put together in 2020, he's top 5 easily, 5, 4, maybe 3 best player in the NFL, comparatively speaking. And then when I see projected lists, TJ Watt is higher than him. And by the way, go back to that Steelers game where the Bills put Darrell Williams on TJ Watt solo, and Darrell Williams shut him down to allow Josh Allen. If you remember that football game, Josh was having trouble, right? Because the offensive line wasn't holding up. And then the Bills offense was like, you know what, Darrell, you got TJ. Take care of TJ. And as soon as they did that, and he did that, Darrell Williams handled TJ Watt, and Josh Allen then throttled the Steelers. And that's where I land on that. For me, I just don't trust. And that's where it comes to the eyes and blah, 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 blah. And we all have our opinions and yada, yada, yada. I don't, I feel like he's going to end up at 10. And I think he should be 4. I think he should be 4. I feel like he's going to be 10.
Okay. I'm going 6. I still feel like, so first I want to agree with what you said earlier. I do believe that he's the 3rd best player in the league if we're viewing it from last year. I don't think there are more than 2 guys last year that had any type of performance on any level for whatever position that was better than Joshua Allen. So first, I wanted to agree with you there. I think he's the 3rd best player in the NFL, and I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care. That's not even a debate for me at this point.
Yep.
What I see, because now I've been going back to watch games. Josh Allen is he's amazing. Josh Allen's amazing.
He played well.
But with context to how the league works and how media works, and then now with this list with how the players tend to vote, like I said, I don't think they're ready to relinquish. People still respect the fact that Tom Brady is Tom Brady. And, like I said, and yeah, TJ Watt, he had an amazing, TJ Watt is a stud. I'm not taking nothing away from him.
Absolute stud.
Absolute stud. Josh is better at a quarterback position than TJ Watt is. And that's saying something because TJ Watt's amazing. So he's amazing. Josh is better at quarterback.
Right.
That's just the truth, man. It's just now he does have to be consistent with it. He has to do it again this year. I hate Nick Wright's a way of looking and presenting things, but to some extent, we have to be realistic there too. Bills fans want last year to be the reality so bad that we're saying it like, yo, no, Josh is, and he is legit in our hearts, but he has to do it more than 1 year. The reason why Tom Brady is Tom Brady, and the reason why he's going to still be fourth on this list or third on this list is because he's been consistent for a long time, which isn't fair when you're talking about the conversation. Well, it's talking about last year only.
Right.
Josh has to do this again. He has to do it again and again and again, and he will, but we just can't be there yet.
And that brings Russell Wilson into the conversation, because Russell Wilson has consistently been a very good quarterback in the NFL, but he never gets an MVP vote, and he's not going to be voted in the top 5. I don't remember where he fell, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Well, I still feel like Russ is top 5. I do. I think Russell Wilson is an amazing quarterback. I think that a lot of times, he gets, just like every quarterback, he gets the blame for things that he shouldn't. For instance, last year and years past, people talk about how his performance tends to die off towards the end of the season. He's not playing at the same level. Did you notice that his offensive line also dies off around there's always injuries on that line.
Right.
The running game hasn't been the same running game since beast mode. He has some runners. I'm not saying like he doesn't have guys. He doesn't have beast mode. He doesn't have the defense that he had. So winning games the same way they used to win them is just not the thing. But when you watch Russell Wilson play the game of football, there's not many guys who has a prettier deep ball. There's not many guys who's smarter with the ball, who's more accurate, who guys love playing for him. They run routes hard for him. He's a top 5 quarterback to me. I don't want to at all even entertain conversations where people disrespect Russell Wilson. That dude is a beast.
No, the biggest problem Russell Wilson has is Pete Carroll, and Bruce Nolan would tell you that, right?
Pete Carroll. Now, if you want to go there, if we're talking about a top coaches list, he's going to get respect because he's won a Super Bowl and he's been to a Super Bowl and another one, and that he lost. Yep. He's going to get that respect.
Yep.
I wouldn't put him top 10 on at this point in the league as far as coaching. He's not top 10.
I would agree. I didn't like him in New England, and I didn't buy him into him at USC, and I was puzzled as to why the Seahawks hired him. I
liked him in New England.
This whole cool dude thing that he does and chewing his gum. I like the fact that he's a player's coach. I like the way they joke about him, and for instance, the Russell Wilson Halloween when he did the Halloween costume, and I like that, but yeah, he's just not a good coach. Moving on to the next segment, the defensive line continues to shine without the starters playing. What an amazing problem to have. What is this football team going to do come cut down day? So we had week 1, right? Mm-hmm. And Groot gets a sack in his first game. Efe Obada is a force. And week 2 comes along, and the pressure rate per Cynthia Freeland was 60% or 58%. And she said average in the NFL, normal is about 28 to 32%.
Yep.
They were at 60-something%. Groot only played, I think, 8 or 12 snaps. They barely kept him. They were like, we've seen enough from you. Yeah. Go sit down. Yeah. Vernon Butler's playing late in the football game. AJ Epinesa had that incredible play.
Sorry, I was waving to Vernon Butler.
Oh, bye. Gotcha.
Late. Yeah, I was waving.
Let me land the plane first. The starters aren't even playing yet. Jerry Hughes is going nowhere. So there's people that feel like Jerry Hughes. Oh, well, let's cut Jerry Hughes. It's like, let's not cut Jerry Hughes. Jerry Hughes still has a motor. He's still dominant. He has a lot to teach these young guys. What an incredible problem to have. But Darrell Williams is hitting rankings as the most, effective pass rusher in preseason so far. Or Darrell Johnson, sorry. I keep saying Darrell Williams. Darrell Johnson. How do you weed this out? Right?
Yeah, it's going to be tough this year. We say this every week now. We say it on my show, your show, this show. We say it on guest shows. We say it so much now.
Yep.
Bills fans are going to be heartbroken this year because there's going to be guys that we fell in love with, or there's going to be guys that we just have an attachment to who will not be here come September 13th or 12th when we play. It's just not happening. So as much as I love all those guys, I'm with you. Jerry's not going nowhere. Our rookies aren't going anywhere. AJ, he's not going nowhere. That dude's ready.
Seems like it. It seems like it.
And when we did the roster projections, I'm like, well, based on what I feel like I know about Brandon Beane, I feel like it's probably going to be AJ Epinesa because he, like the money thing. He doesn't like dead contracts or dead cap space and stuff like that. At this point, I don't feel like it's like, okay, now we're trying to win. We need a performance. And these guys are playing lights out. They got the length and the speed. Man.
Yeah, but to back that up, as far as can the front office, can Brandon Beane not shift but pivot? You're also talking about a general manager and a head coach that traditionally have not given up on their draft picks. And now it looks like they're going to have to. Like they're going to pivot away from their draft picks, right? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, in my opinion, just with this whole situation. I'm on record as saying I prefer a youth movement. I prefer seeing them say, you know what, we're just going to eat the money that we owe Mario Edison. We're going to eat the money that we owe Vernon Butler, and we were $8.5 million under the cap anyway. So if we need to make a move, we can still, and we're going to play these young guys and see what they got.
Yeah. My man Rich Rush asks me, is Mitch playing better than I expected? No.
Is that
this
Mitch,
is why I've been
Mitch Trubisky? Yeah.
That's why I've been so adamant this entire time. When everybody's like, what if we trade him to Indy or we trade him? No, we are looking to win games. So at this point, yeah, Josh Allen is our guy, and we know Josh Allen is next level. But now we're seeing with good coaching, we're seeing with a good offensive game plan, we're seeing with good weapons, and he had weapons in Chicago, but we're seeing what Mitch Trubisky could be with a good mind in front of him.
Right.
So now, is he Josh? No, but guess what? He can do some of the things that Josh can do, which is why a lot of people made comparisons between Mitch Trubisky and Josh Allen when Josh was drafted, because they have similar traits. I'm not trading him nowhere. So that's the reason why I was so adamant about it. And him coming out to do this against the Bears, it did two things for me. One, it made me feel good about that take. And two, it made me feel good about laughing at the news anchor from last week. So it's just, it was just a great time.
Oh, that's so good. So Chris Yankee, who we love, Chris Yankee. Butler was playing late because Harry and Hester were hurt. They only had Butler, Zimmer, and Bryant healthy. I agree and I disagree. The starting front four, Butler was listed as the starting front four, and he did not start the game. Actually, Harrison Phillips did. Butler did not get into the game as far as I remember until Harrison actually got hurt. Harrison is a guy that, how do you not love this kid, right? But Harrison is a guy that was on the bubble, it seemed like a couple weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. And then the depth chart came out, and it seemed like, oh, it was solidified. Oh, he's on the bubble. Like, this is a problem. And then all of a sudden he plays that first game, plays the second game, starts the second game, is playing very, very well, like sucking up two blockers, doing his thing. And then he sprains his knee, which he should be back in time. I don't know how you keep Vernon Butler over, especially with the tape you have. You've got film on Vernon Butler.
Who?
Vernon Butler is Vernon Butler. He's a known commodity.
Yeah.
Harrison Phillips is still growing, in my opinion.
Harrison Phillips is absolutely still growing. And that's why was it Sterling that we had on, and he was like, no, he's gone, man. Like, I see Harrison Phillips on the bubble, and it's like, there's no way that I'm releasing Harrison Phillips. Like, that's just not happening. No, you know what? We were on with the BIB guys. We were on Built in Buffalo. And that's when we had that discussion. And I said, no, like, there's no way I'm trading Harrison Phillips. That guy is amazing. He was injured. He's coming off of 2 knee injury, now a third technically. Right. But no, there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, for sure. There was a question in here that I wanted to, or a comment. Where in the world was it? Dead air. Nothing like dead air on a radio show. Here it is. Kevin O'Brien, thanks for being a part of the show. Thanks for the comment. Do you think they attempt to trade Addison? Love him, but these young guys are cheaper. Is it even possible? So it's the biggest person they're going to bring to the dance is the New York Jets, who have lost Carl Lawson and somebody else today, but they're definitely not trading Mario Addison inside the division, right?
No,
unless they get a ton of stuff for him. It's just not going to happen. And the Jets, I think the Jets are going to wait for them to cut somebody.
I wouldn't be scared to trade him to the Jets. Like, And that's not talking mess about them, but I mean, like again, like you said, we know what we have in those guys. Like we had tape on them. They had tape before they got here. Like we know what we got. So no, send them. Let's use our youth. I'm not even tripping. My man Matt wants to know.
Oh, I literally just put the same thing.
See, we're in sync. We're in season mode.
I was gonna give you credit because you were the guy last year in our roster prediction. You were like Reggie Gilliam makes his football team, and I'm like, who the hell is Reggie Gilliam? And you're like, he makes his football team. And I'm like, all right. I was like, I did my research. I know who he is, but it's like, why would that guy make the team? Spence called it. So yeah, go.
And I'm telling you now, obviously he's making it again this year, but on top of him making this year, so the concerns that we have with Dawson Knox and the concerns that we have with I'm not sure how Sweeney's looked. I haven't really paid attention to Sweeney, but the thing is, we had concerns about the tight end position. I really think the reason why the Bills aren't concerned as much as the fans are is because of this guy.
Yeah,
he's a tight end, but they slotted him at fullback because we needed that. He's good at blocking in front of running backs, and obviously now we see him good at goal line handoffs. But he's also a very, very good route runner. He's quick. I'm telling you, he's gonna be slotted up out at tight end at times this year, and it's gonna be fun to watch. He's gonna have a bigger year than which I think you can tell based off of how they try to use him in preseason. But he's gonna have a year. He's gonna be part of this offense for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how the Bills cut him. If they cut him, yeah, I don't know how the Bills cut him. I don't see that happening in any way, shape, or form. I think Gilliam makes his full. I think Tommy Sweeney goes before Gilliam goes.
I would agree. I think Tommy Sweeney goes. Because like I said, I don't know how he's looked. I haven't been at practice and all that, but I can't. Everything that I'm seeing from Gilliam and the stuff I saw last year, he didn't get a ton of opportunity, but the opportunities he did get, he took advantage.
Right,
like
for sure.
He's somebody that the team loves, and they're not getting rid of that guy. It's not happening.
Yeah, I like him. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Multicast Network. That's kind of all the topics that we've got kind of lined up for everybody. Go ahead.
Well, Chris was just commenting on Sweeney. He said he hasn't practiced since he got hurt against the Lions. It's the same foot he hurt last year. So that's probably why I haven't been paying attention, because he's not out there.
Yeah, he's definitely not out there. Yeah, he's been a scratch.
And the best ability is availability. I know last season COVID had, so I can't blame him for COVID. But, the foot, knee, back, whatever it is that these guys go through, the best ability is availability. So as much as even last week that when I was saying about Harrison Phillips, this time it's just a sprain and he should be back. But the thing is, at some point, the team is going to have to say, look, is this, as much as we see your potential and as much as we love you and as much as is it worth keeping this roster spot, man? Because you're not available. We need you to be available. I want to shout out my homegirl Taylor, my girl Tay.
Yeah, what's up, Tay?
Thank you for the super chat. You should have added a question or something.
Comment, question. If you've got one, throw it in there. We'll get to it.
If you got one, throw it up there. But typically, just so you know, the super chats, you get priority with these comments. So throw out something for us before we get out of here, Tay. We still got about 10. We might go. I don't know what we're gonna do. We might go a little
it depends on the comment section. So it depends on you guys, the viewers, those of you that are in the room with us. That's where I was going with this. So we are kind of not out of content, but we're kind of in a situation where we're, we've hit the topics that we wanted to hit tonight. Unless she's going to come up with one for us. You've got to say.
And you're not dumb, Taylor. You're not dumb. Stop.
Oh,
she said I'm dumb. No, you're not.
Everybody's in the room now. So Pam Madonna's in the room. Kristen's in the room. Tay's in the room. It's funny. Everybody's jumping in.
Oh boy,
I don't know why that struck me funny
every single week, man.
But it did. Who's got big hands? Oh, is that you? Is she talking about you?
Every single week, people were commenting about my hands.
I don't think my hands are. I don't know. I don't know why your hands get.
I don't even think I got big hands. Like
I do. Okay. I do have big hands. Like I've got, but it's not my fingers that are big. I've got like the meat, like the function part of my hand, whatever the palm is enormous. I got paws, as my wife calls them. My wife calls them paws all the time. That's funny though, Tay. Awesome.
I love Tay.
I'm totally. You got anything? Because I'm off script at this point. I don't even know what to think. Salad.
No. I mean, we went through all of our. Oh, well, you know what? We have some announcements. We have some really good announcements next week. Yeah. I'm excited. I am so excited because next week the Hump Day Hotline has a very special guest.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
I cannot wait to have our guy from WGR. He is probably my favorite person from WGR. Mr. Sal Capaccio, the beat reporter for WGR and the Buffalo Bills, will be joining us here live on the Hump Day Hotline, because at that point next week, we are going to know who our roster is. Cut down day is a couple days before Sal comes on. So we're going to talk about who got cut, why they got cut, who made it, and why they made it. Please, please, please be there for it. And then
it's true.
The day it's actually 2 days before that. I was going to say and then, but it's 2 days before that. We're going to have my guy, the real Mike Robb, is going to be joining me on the Code of Conduct, man. When I tell you this is the show that I've been like really, really, really excited about. I cannot wait for this show. It's going to be so much fun. Please make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel right now if you haven't subscribed, because you do not want to miss the the notification for this show.
Yeah, for sure. No, I was laughing about this comment. So this is my sister, and she's not wrong. My ears are abnormally small, but I can hear very well. So I don't have a problem hearing. My ears are just abnormally small. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. But no, we got a lot of great stuff coming up. If anybody in the comment section, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, or in the YouTube chat, if you've got a question, comment, concern, you can ask that now. Super chat us. Yeah, we've got a couple minutes. I can't wait for the real Mike Robb thing. That's going to be unbelievable. Unbelievable. You want to jump on that, or I got it? I got it.
Oh, we can get it.
Yep, go ahead.
The Podfather has the best Bills content in Bills content podcast in the business. Keep up the great work. I'm not going to argue with you. I love Joe Marino. And, I think, again, like I mentioned earlier in the conversation, I think if you did a poll from the content creators, I think most of them would say Joe Marino's at the top. I think most of them would say Bruce Nolan is at the top. So for me, I love Joe Marino. I consider him a very good friend at this point, and it's flattering to me that he does not miss my show. That's all I'm going to say. And like this week, so you asked me before we started, like, what you're saying again? So it's whether this podcast finds you around a cup of coffee, right? That's what I thought you were doing. On
the drive to work, at the gym with your AirPods in, or watch me live on YouTube, yada, yada, yada. Well, Joe Marino put it on Instagram this week. He said, your podcast is currently finding me pushing a stroller. Like he just always comes at me, which is great. So what did I miss? You're laughing. Can I get my $4.99 back? Nope. Thank you for the donation.
She just Tay on Twitter, she just tagged me as something, and I'm not even going to share it here, but you'll see it.
I'm going to look at it right now. I'm going to look at it right now.
And
moment of awkward silence.
And while Joe's looking at that, I got you, Matt. I wasn't forgetting about you, man. Matt and I are Matt is working on this project that he and I are going to push together. We got something big coming tomorrow. He is going to be making an announcement. So if you're not following our guy, Matt, please go and check out. And I'll retweet and I'll make sure I post it too. But go follow Matt. Make sure you know what he has going on, because tomorrow is something that Bills Mafia is going to be in love with. I promise you, Bills Mafia is going to be in love with this. So yeah. No, I saw it.
I can't get on the screen. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's why you couldn't get on the screen, because it shouldn't be on the screen. I love Tay. I just want everybody to know. You know what? I'll load it up. Here, this is what she loaded up, guys. She tagged me on Twitter in this because we were just having the discussion about me having big hands and Joe having big hands. She
was talking about you. She wasn't talking about me. She was talking about you.
But the Bills Cosby, first, okay, moving on.
Moving on. That's so funny.
Shout out to Kristen, man. Hey, I'm excited. We got all these announcements. What do you got coming up?
Oh my gosh, dude. I feel, I don't know. I hate the self-promotion stuff, and you know that about me. Whew. So I will be doing when the season starts, I will be doing Saturday nights, the Bills Mafia Time to Shine segment. So it will be a live pregame show that will actually air before your pregame show with Kristen and Sturls for the girls, where I will be putting out. I'm literally going to put the link out to the show, so everybody can pile into the green room, and I'm going to bring Bills Mafia on. They're going to give me game predictions, who's going to ball out, score predictions, everything else. So I'm going to have a pregame show that's basically a live call-in show on YouTube. something that nobody has done and nobody's doing right now. I tested it on Sunday night, this past Sunday night, and I'm excited about it. So, and then Sunday night will be the Overreaction post-game show after every single game. And then Monday night will be Off Tackle with John Fina. And then obviously I'll be here every single Wednesday with you, my beautiful co-host, JSpencetheKing.
You're too kind. I mean, you're far more beautiful than me. On Tuesdays, because Joe is taking over. Joe and John Fina are taking over Mondays and holding that down. Tuesdays, the code of conduct is switching. So you can find me now on Tuesdays, and the pod will be out on Wednesdays. And then the thing I wanted to mention, because I saw Kristen in here, we got the damn thing happening on Saturdays, man.
Fun stuff.
It is going to be the place to be for your Bills pregame content. We got me from Buffalo Rumblings. We got Sterling from Cover One. We got Kristen being the president of the Mafia Babes. And then we got Angelina White from the Donut Bag Pod coming on. This is going to be an every week thing. And I also have some guests lined up for this show for the entire season. So we got some really special guests coming on. I got some people coming on. So from what I hear, people aren't too sure about spreads and betting and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get somebody on early in the season. We're going to talk about spreads so y'all can make some money on these Bills because they're going to win this year. So we want y'all to win. And there's a lot going on. That also, the night before the game, we want y'all to come circle the wagons with us. We want y'all to come do this. It's going to be a good time. We're going to be skating in Orchard Park, so it's not going to be too far from the stadium. So if y'all want, just come and then go to the stadium and sleep out there. You can't do that. They won't let y'all sleep overnight. But come and skate with us. It's going to be a good time, man. It's going to be.
And if we're backing up from there, the Soho party is Friday night, right before the night before the skate party, and you and I are trying to work out so possibly an on location live taping or live broadcast of the Hump Day Hotline like we did last year at Magruder's. So for those of you that were and I know Pam Madonna's in the room right now, she was at Magruder's last year. If you were at Magruder's last year, we're looking at possibly doing that again. Maybe not at Magruder's, maybe at Magruder's. We're actually going to talk about it here in about 5 minutes after the show's over. Jay Spence and I are going to talk about it and kind of figure out what we want to do. But you're going to be in town all week, right? So you're coming in on the 3rd, yes. And then you're going to be in town all week, all the way through the home opener. So we got a lot of time to kind of figure that out. But if we do a live version of this on site at O'Neill's or at Magruder's, we want to see as many people there as humanly possible. It would be a ton of fun. Just super, super, super excited about doing that. So anything else from you before we wrap this thing up?
No, just that Pam said it was a great time when she was there last year. So and everybody knows, it was obviously during COVID time, but it was the one time that we were able to get together and link for a game, and I had so much fun that year. So please, if everybody can, when we do this, and we'll figure it out. Once we figure out a place for this and we do it, please come and kick it with us. Like to do it live the week of the game and to get the energy. That's what I can't wait to feel. I can't wait to feel your energy. So please come out and do it. And hey.
We forgot as well. So home opener, you and I will be at Hammer's Lot with everybody else. So we'll be there early, setting up in my with my truck. So we got to figure that out too. But what you and I will be at Hammer's Lot. So come by and see us if you're going to the home opener. But yeah, anything else from you? Yes, no, maybe.
No, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings Multicast Network. It's Hump Day. So first and foremost, as we close this thing, if you haven't liked it yet, and only 14 of you have, hump that like button, jump on the like button, whatever platform you're on. This show is going to drop as a podcast as well during the regular season. So if you are unable to catch it live or catch it post in YouTube, you can actually catch it on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network coming soon. But for myself, Joe Miller, the voice of the Overreaction Sports Podcast, and my co-host, JSpencetheKing, the host of the Code of Conduct. It's great having you guys tonight. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Where'd it go? There it is.
Oh, no.